Entering the 2023-2024 college football season, USC quarterback Caleb Williams could do no wrong. He was the consensus number one overall draft prospect. He was the favorite to win the Heisman once again. Some draft analysts compared him to the next Patrick Mahomes. Broncos head coach Sean Payton views Williams as a type of prospect where a lottery system would have to be implemented. Basically, Caleb Williams was the Victor Wembanyama of NFL draft prospects. But now that we head into the combine, we feel differently. Is it prospect fatigue? Or has there been more research done on Caleb to help us think otherwise? We answer all those questions in the That's Textbook Sports Film Breakdown. So here we go. Caleb Williams, film breakdown. Right here, this is his first collegiate start going up against TCU. So we're going to be looking at this game and seeing how much he's progressed from his first collegiate start to now his days at USC, things he still needs to work on, that sort of deal. He's one of the most talked about and interesting players in this draft process and in the draft. A lot of knocks on him about him operating within structure, holding onto the ball too long, all of those sorts of things. So we're going to look at that, find out, is there truth within that? And so this play for Oklahoma, they have a wide receiver to the right side of the screen. He's going to be running the seam to the goalpost. To the left side of the screen, we have a wide receiver running the go. And the read for Caleb Williams is any conflict defender in the middle of the field. There isn't one. If 28 gets into the middle of the field, we have to do our read based off of them or any defender from this side. There isn't, and then I'll analyze this play. So we see them come down. We have the middle of the field wide open, and it's a completion, right? But the thing I want to point out in this play specifically is what type of torque is he getting his hips to rotate, his shoulders to rotate, core strength into delivering the football. And let's watch it right here. And it feels more like it's just using all arm, right? Like he has the arm talent. And players with arm talent, they stray away from the fundamentals a little bit just because they have such exceptional arm talent. But here, if I were to pause it, at this moment, we see the wide receiver's yards open, right? If we were to lead him, and I get the point of when they're that wide open, let's just get it to him. But if we lead him a little bit, we have the possibility for a touchdown, right? And it's still a completion. Wide receiver has to slow down for it a little bit. But again, let's see how this is his first collegiate start. So we have to give him a little bit of slack. But let's see how he progresses, whether it's in this game or later on, in terms of putting torque, core strength into delivering the football. So this play for Oklahoma, we're going to have the trips bunch right here. So we're going to have the wide receiver at the top of the screen. He's going to be running a post. This wide receiver in the slot is going to be running a whip route. And the wide receiver at the bottom of the screen is going to be running an in down the 40-yard line. And this play, for me, combats the knock on Caleb Williams of him playing within rhythm, playing within structure. And so let's watch this play unfold, see Caleb go through his reads. We see him working left, right, and we see within that field of vision, or the same area of vision, we have the whip route, and it takes away this defender from the middle of the field, right? So now our next read is this defensive back right here. If he comes down into the middle of the field, then we have this post route with the leverage. But if he stays onto the post route, then we have the in down the 40-yard line. So we see Caleb process it, gets the back of his foot, delivers on the money, and then we get yard after catch ability. A nice play and rep from Caleb. So this play for Oklahoma right here, we have the wide receiver in the slot. He's going to be running this slot fade. Then the wide receiver to the top of the screen is going to be running a hitch. And the read right here is this defensive back right here. If this defensive back gets depth, then we have the hitch. If he stays attached to the hitch, then we have the slot fade. With the leverage we like, we can throw it to the left shoulder or back shoulder, lead him, whichever way. And it's a nice read from Caleb. So we're going to see his eyes work too. We're going to see his eyes work to the hitch. So he's working to the hitch immediately, right? That's who we're reading. If he stays attached to the hitch, then we have this. If he gets any depth, then we have the hitch, right? back at top of his drop, and just watch the throw. Like on the money now. It's incompletion, but it's on the money. And the receiver has a chance at catching that football. That's all we ask for the quarterback. And that's all the receivers ask for, right? Just give him a chance. And it's an insane throw. Insane throw number one from Caleb Williams in his collegiate career. And so I like this play because it shows me Caleb Williams operating in structure or under structure when it's given. So for Oklahoma, they're going to have the wide receiver to the bottom of the screen right here, run a hitch. Number 9, they're going to motion him in, and then he's going to go with an in. To the slot right here, it's going to be an out. Top of the screen is going to be a post. So they're going to do this play action fake, try to get the linebackers to commit up, and he's going to be facing pressure from his left, coming in hot. So he has to make a quick decision on time, in rhythm. Let's see how he goes through this. So then motion him in, feels pressure, steps up in the pocket, delivers it on the money, on the break, yard after catch opportunity as well. And it's a nice play from Caleb operating in structure. So the last play we're going to analyze of Caleb Williams' first collegiate start going up against TCU is to the top of the screen. We're going to have a hitch. Wide receiver here in the slot is going to run another hitch. And the real play or the action within this play is with these two wide receivers to the bottom of the screen. So this wide receiver in the slot, he's going to go up and run this deep hitch, curl, hook, and the wide receiver to the bottom of the screen, he's going to run this sluggo route. So he's going to run this slant and then go. So that way they can get the rub kind of concept of it. And let's see how this play unfolds. So there we go. We get that. And it's man-to-man coverage, right? So with the sluggo and the rub right here, this defender that's on the wide receiver to the bottom of the screen, probably going to take himself out of the play. And let's just watch the throw from Caleb. I mean, it's a beautiful throw. Hits the receiver in both his hands, right? Should be caught. But then it also goes back to the first play we analyzed and broke down, right? Which is him getting torque, getting his hips, shoulders into the throw. And we talked about how if he led the receiver, it's most likely and probably a touchdown, right? Well, now we see him actually learn from it. And it's cool to see a prospect learn from their mistakes in game. So watch him again. He gets that torque into the football, right? It's that kind of like it's exploding off the back foot and just putting all the torque into it. Wide open. Now we're leading him. And it hits a wide receiver in both the hands. He should catch it, but it's just another insane throw. So we see the arm talent and strength that he has when he puts all of that into the throw. So now looking at the Notre Dame game, right? It was Caleb's worst game statistically. Feel like this is the point where we started to question Caleb Williams a lot. Yes, we're gonna break down the interceptions, decision making. There was obviously a ton of those, but I also want to look at the things he did well within this game and the tools he has that I think can translate him for the NFL. So within this specific play, we're gonna have all go routes, and we have this safety shaded to the left side. So that tells us we have this option right here, and it's going up against Notre Dame's best corner. So ideally in the NFL, we want all our receivers to get that separation right. But there comes times when they're not going to get that separation. The defensive back's going to be in phase. So how are we going to use a back shoulder throw, or how well do we have that in the toolbox? So let's watch this from Caleb. Peeks there, right? He peeks to the safety, but now quick decision. He's working to the bottom of to the wide receiver to his right, in phase, and it's an insane back shoulder throw. It's great ball placement, right where it needs to be. It's really nice. And if we look at it from the back view right here, we get to see it more. So the quick decision and right on the face mask, right? That's where receivers want the ball to be 24/7, right on the face mask. And we get to see it again. And so here we go. The interceptions, right? The decision making, the bad that we see from Caleb Williams in this game. Here's the pass concept from USC. At the top of the screen, this wide receiver is going to be running a post. Right here, we have a crossing route. Same thing at the bottom over here. We have a crossing route. And this wide receiver right here, lined up in the backfield, he's going to chip and then release to the flat. Why you want to have a wide receiver do that as opposed to a tight end is head scratching and beyond me, but this is what USC is running. And for Notre Dame, they're going to send these four down linemen, but they're also going to send number 8 and 20 on a blitz. So we'll see how Caleb works through this. And really, Notre Dame's game plan was to put pressure on Caleb constantly. They knew his offensive line was terrible, but they also wanted to force him into some quick decisions. So we see this here. And he feels the pressure, steps up, and you can make the argument, and it's easy to, with this film, to do hypotheticals to say, well, let's get it to the check down, especially if we feel pressure. Very easy to say. I would recommend Caleb to do it, but we also can't throw it late over the middle of the field. That's how interceptions happen, and that's how it does here. And then another bad from Caleb Williams, right? Another interception late and to the middle of the field. So let's look at the passing concept that USC has here. Right here, it's going to be an in, and in the slot, it's going to be an over with this wide receiver running a go route. And then I think we have a hitch from the top of the screen. And Notre Dame, again, they're going to be putting consistent and constant pressure on Caleb Williams. So they're not only going to be sending four, but they're going to be sending a linebacker and then have another linebacker spy. So let's see how Caleb processes this out. And again, I mean, Notre Dame's blitzing in this game, and we're not having a whole lot of answers for or anything hot. Questionable pass protection from the back too, but then just late and over the middle, something we can't do. Have to worry about that flat defender, and they intercept it. So here with this play, it shows Caleb Williams' pocket awareness, the way he is able to maneuver in the pocket, and those sorts of things. So this play within itself is they're gonna have the back motion out here, and these wide receivers are really they're gonna be blocking. And at the top of the screen, we're gonna have this wide receiver run like a jerk route. So he's gonna come up, make a move to the left, and then run a slant inside. The wide receiver to the top of the screen here is gonna be running a go, but it also feels like he's with this go and then he's running a corner. Why you want to run a corner to the short side of the field? Really questionable to me. But the read within here, I think, and again, I don't know the reads for USC, but with these wide receiver blocking, right? You don't want a penalty if you're throwing down the field and or anyone blocking down the field to result in a penalty, right? And Caleb's eyes for some reason just don't go that way. Like we see the linebacker number 27 go with the back. Well, if we keep our eyes still this way, we see that he's not taking a straight line to the back. And instead, he's going where traffic is. And so you still like that, but his eyes are on the safety right here. And to me, I don't understand because we have these guys blocking. It's not like there's going to be anything deep going on, right? Unless he feels comfortable with his wide receiver separating. But again, his eyes over there. But he steps up in the pocket, makes a good play, right? Then if we look at the back view, we see again where his eyes go. Typically, you want to be on that linebacker or to the running back. But if he's on the safety, steps up in the pocket, has good pocket maneuverability, awareness, makes a play. And so this play is another shows again Caleb Williams operating within structure when it's called for. And with USC, this play is the wide receiver to the top of the screen is doing a must outside release go. And we have the wide receiver to the slot running in and out. We have the running back play fake and then go into the flat. This tight end right here, who's going to catch the ball, is going to be running on the seam. Wide receiver to the bottom of the screen is going to be running a hitch. And so we see Caleb go right to left, find the tight end to the seam, in rhythm, in structure. A nice play for him. So we see him work right, doesn't love it, and especially because you don't know if this cornerback right here can jump this route, right? If he has that type of awareness or route concept recognition. Now he works to the left or to the middle of the field and throws it with touch over the linebacker for a big play and a first down. So we see it from the back view. Caleb Williams looks right, doesn't love it, goes in the middle of the field. So this play for USC, we have the wide receiver to the bottom of the screen. He's going to be running a hitch or an in, excuse me. Wide receiver in the slot right here. Something we have to pay attention to as the play progresses. He's going to run a slant, and so we have the leverage right here, an inside route with outside leverage. And at the top of the screen, we're going to have this wide. It's going to be a smash concept. So we have this wide receiver to the slot running a corner, and the wide receiver to the top of the screen is going to be running a sit route right through here, and the back is going to release to the flat. Well, Caleb's eyes are going to work left, or actually, they're going to peek to this middle linebacker a little bit because if we love this route with Zach Branch has tremendous speed and he wins early. He is he's a conflict defender right here, this middle linebacker. If he starts to shade this way, we don't feel as confident. So we have to look him off or just keep him there for a little bit and then work this slant route right here. So we're going to see how Caleb progresses through this, and we'll watch from the back view as well. And so you see him start out, right, on the middle linebacker a little bit. And Zach Branch, he wins early. So we've got this. And he's got, like I said, tremendous speed. So if we get it to him right now, he's able to, who knows? He could take a slant 80, to the house. And you see him looking that way. Instead, Caleb Williams goes right to the smash concept. And he's got the completion, right? But something. Well, we're gonna watch through the back view. So we're watching it through the back view. He's right. He's got his eyes on the middle linebacker, and the middle linebacker he doesn't shade any other way or get any kind of depth. So we can release it to him, and you see he feels like he wants to, but then right now it's a little bit too late. Works over there. All right. So here for this play, the real action is to the top of the screen. So we're gonna have the wide receiver at the top of the screen right here. He's gonna run a sit route. Then this wide receiver in the slot is gonna run an in, and the back is going to go on a swing. And so Notre Dame's going to motion this player over here, right? And immediately pre-snap, we see that the middle of the field, this area is pretty clear, wide open, right? Unless this linebacker delays, gets into the middle of the field, we have it. So you'd like to see Caleb kind of sense this. But let's see, he goes through his reads right here, and I'll give a little bit more analysis as the play develops. But you can see him say no to the sit route, right? This linebacker, instead of going to the middle of the field, right, because he was in the A gap right on the center, he goes to the swing. So he's on the back. Now we have this area wide open right here, right? Hitch, goes back, works through it. Nice reads, right? Going through his reads, saying no to that. But then you can see him hitch again. And I think it's a lot better of an angle from the back view, but we see him hitch, deliver it right, goes through his reads. Could he done it a little bit quicker so that way we have an opportunity for yards after the catch, right? Yeah, he could have, but you'd like to see him go through those reads 1 to 2 in that sort of manner. So here we go from the back view, says no to it. And I think the thing that stops him here is it's not really him being hesitant, but his footwork. Like watch the footwork. Doesn't seem like he's lined up to the in route coming across the field right here until right about now. To where the defender, it's a good throw, low and away. But like I say, the opportunity for yards for catch and getting it out sooner, right? If we're to lead them and have them go make a play. And to get our footwork as opposed to, I think he does a drop back, like he goes back and then he hops. Okay, so with this play, it winds up being a touchdown, but there's an opportunity for a touchdown earlier. And of course, we know that a lot of the knocks for Caleb Williams is that he holds onto the ball too long. I believe he had, in terms of holding onto the ball or time to throw the stat, he was first by a pretty significant margin. But let's break down this play for USC. It's going to be, we have number 4 running the slant. We have 87 running this seam to the goalpost. And then the rest of the wide receivers really are just going to be running go routes. So we have all of that. And let's see how Caleb Williams works this. So we see his eyes, right? This is a good pocket. It's a U-shaped, and we see that 87 is even with this linebacker right here. And it doesn't feel like this linebacker is getting depth, right? It doesn't feel like they've got their hips turned to make a play on number 87. We see Caleb Williams looking right at him, and he just goes off of it a little too quickly for me. And we see a lot of NFL quarterbacks make that type of throw, right? But it also shows you the luxury Caleb Williams has with his playmaking, creating, and extending plays. So he's got the pocket awareness, steps up in the pocket, sidearm. I mean, just magician stuff, right? But the reason why I'm so nitpicky with some of these plays, specifically in the Notre Dame game, is these edge rushers in the NFL, like it's their job to hit the quarterback and to enforce pain on the quarterback. And as a quarterback, you want to get that ball out as quickly as possible. You do not want those guys to lay a hand on you. So that's why I feel like I'm so harsh on him and these quarterbacks when they don't get the ball out early because you don't want to live in a world where you're consistently having to rely on your playmaking and being a musician. Now it works for Caleb Williams at the collegiate level, but at the pro level, it's not a place where you want to live. So here we are now in his junior year going up against Washington. And for this play actually this play is it's like further evidence for the crowd that says he doesn't operate within structure, right? And so with this play for USC, to the bottom, we're going to have double post. So we're going to have a post right here, and we're going to have number one, motion. And usually when teams do motion, they do that to get leverage and to get a matchup. So we're going to motion number one, and he's going to run a post to the middle of the field right in through here. This wide receiver to the top of the screen is going to run a curl. We're going to have the tight end block and release, and we're going to have the running back on a rail route. And so let's see how Caleb Williams processes this, and where his eyes go. And we can see, right, like he's looking left. And this linebacker doesn't look like he's getting any kind of depth to affect this. So we have this middle of the field. Like I say, if we were to just connect the dot or just connect the line between all these defenders, we see this area voided and open right here to anticipate into windows like that over the middle of the field. Something I think he struggles with. And first, the pocket is good enough, right? It's a good pocket. Okay, he feels a little bit of pressure, but in the NFL, and by NFL standards, that's a good pocket. Instead, he gets off of it, and it's just, again, living in a world you don't want to be living into, especially in the NFL when the talent is equal. Now, it's still good completion, but like I say, you don't want to be living in that world consistently. And so this play, it's not a passing play, but it showcases Caleb Williams, the athlete. He is an exceptional athlete. Now, is he an athlete like a Lamar Jackson where he's going to make you miss, right? Or a Michael Vick? Not to that level, but I think it's good enough. Like, think of Patrick Mahomes. He's not an exceptional athlete. And in terms of athlete, I'm taking Caleb Williams over Patrick Mahomes. But the ways that their scrambles can just be so not annoying, but their scrambles can just be like, take the life out of the defense. And this is why I think he's going to be a good enough athlete where some hoops may think he might not be. But instantly when he goes into the NFL, he's going to be a problem for defensive ends. We just see the shiftingness he has and what that stuff he has in terms of playmaking ability with his legs in his repertoire. So I chose this play because I think it's going to be a very good learning experience for Caleb Williams to understand that there's going to be some defenders out there, defensive backs, that are going to bait you into some throws. And so let's look at the structure of this play for USC. Right here at the bottom of the screen, this wide receiver is going to be running a go route. Okay, and then we have this wide receiver to the slot. He's going to be running a go as well, or a slot fade. The tight end right here, key factor, someone we have to pay attention to, is going to fake like he's running a cross and then all of a sudden go up to the middle of the field on a seam. This wide receiver to the top of the screen is just going to be running a hitch. And so we're going to see Caleb work this, right? If he wants to go to the bottom of the screen, he has to watch this defender right here and get this defender to draw up. But you can see this defender, as we let the play develop a little bit, we can see this defender creeps up a little bit. Caleb's watching him and he thinks, okay, I got this route down to the bottom. But then he gets back. And like I say, keep the eyes on this tight end right here. Pocket's good, right? For what could have been had we just held on a little bit and went to the seam right here. So if I were to rewind it back just a little bit, too far, sorry. We're gonna see that this wide receiver in the slot, he's gonna take this safety, and then he is gonna go over the top right here. So what that does is that leaves the middle of the field open right here for us. And we see Caleb. He has a quick decision going to the bottom of the to the long route, and I think that's also another con that people have of him is he's a big play hunter and he looks for the big play, and it's a good learning experience for him to understand that there's going to be defenders that bait you, but that sometimes the big play is not necessarily just the streaks, the go routes, and all those sorts of things, but the stuff like this, right? The design kind of things as opposed to, double coverage, defender baited us, and that sort of deal. This play right here is pretty special for Caleb Williams. It just goes to show the luxury he has of extending plays and making just some absolutely ridiculous throws. So we're just gonna watch it. He says no to the routes over here at the bottom. Now, could he work this way? You can make that argument right here, and especially as he goes back, yeah. But like I talked about with him putting stress on the defensive ends, immediately when he steps in foot in the league, he's going to put stress on defensive ends, just the way he extends plays and defensive backs. Like it's going to be hard to cover for multiple seconds, and just the ridiculous throw. And it's a throw on the money, moving the wrong way. And he just goes to show you he can make almost or practically every throw from any platform, whether that's wrong footed, back footed. I mean, it's just ridiculous. And so this play right here, I really can't tell you what USC is trying to accomplish within this play or what their design is, but it's Caleb Williams once again making another spectacular, ridiculous throw. And they have him running this way. Maybe they're trying to get like a fake to where they get this running back right here to work up the seam. Again, the extent of the play, I necessarily don't know as we rewind back a little bit, but his ability to turn something out of nothing, pretty phenomenal. And the throw, the muscle memory to turn around and spin. Turns around, pressure in his face, spin, and deliver an absolute dime is ridiculous. So this play is I especially love from Caleb Williams, and it's going to translate in the NFL. So we talked about right with him looking off defenders, right? You look one way to go another way. That's what he does, and you can see he's in game. He's and throughout the season, throughout his collegiate career, he's learning from a lot of his mistakes. So it's a mirrored concept for USC right here. They're going to have the outside receivers run hitches, slot wide receiver is going to be running slot fades, and we're going to see him process this. He's going to look right because we have this conflict defender right here. So we have to get him to shade this way. And this defensive back's got a lot of leverage, right? So he's looking right, shade a little bit, and he's getting ready to throw this football. Doesn't feel like this is going to have a high percentage of it being completed. But with Caleb Williams, just overall special talent, he's able to make this throw, and it's a dime for a touchdown. So right here, another example of Caleb Williams operating in structure when it's given and when the offensive line gives him time to go through some of these reads. So what is the play design for here right here for USC? Well, they're going to have starting from the bottom working to the top, they're going to have this wide receiver right here. He's going to run a hitch. We're going to have this wide receiver run this sit right here in the middle of the field. This wide receiver right here, which is he's going to get the ball and he's going to be the big play. He is going to run this underneath route and then wheel it up outside the numbers. with this wide receiver at the top of the screen running a post. So I'm going to let this play develop a little bit. We see Caleb Williams, right, looking this way, so he's looking left to occupy this middle field defender. Because if we want this home run play, we have to look for this safety right here. And having this, I know it feels like really, I would say, close together these routes are, but what that's going to do is that's going to occupy this middle of the field defender right here. So a great design, and then we see Caleb Williams get to the back of his to his back foot, top of his drop actually, and deliver that football. And then again, what I was talking about with the delivering the football with torque, watch him do it. So that back foot comes across, lean into the throw, put your core strength into it, and then we're going to see the back view right here, right? Look in the middle of the field. Now he goes this way. Torque into the ball, hips flipping into it, and the throw once again. And this play really, like a lot of Caleb Williams plays, leaves you pretty speechless. And this wide receiver at the top of the screen is just going to run this cross. He's going to run this over route. They're going to do a play fake and just the arm angle. I mean, he throws from some arm angles where I'm pretty convinced, and then the accuracy again, but I'm pretty convinced like if other people tried this type of throw, they would have some kind of shoulder problems. Their shoulder would pop out of their socket. It's just any, arm angles from all sorts of just the arm angle, really. I mean, it really does leave you speechless. And then again, we get it from the back view, and that just that arm strength that he has to make throws like that on the money across the field. And so this play right here, again, another throw that just really, I mean, it leaves you speechless. So this play concept for USC, they're gonna have this wide receiver run a hitch. They're gonna have these two wide receivers run these crossing routes, and the wide receiver to the bottom of the screen he's gonna run this post, but he's really clearing space for these two running the crossing routes to occupy this safety right here. Um, One of the things I want to point out within this play is the muscle memory he has with some of these throws. Like we go back, rewind, and watch that Washington game when he's spinning around, flips his hips, makes that ridiculous throw for a touchdown to number two. That type of muscle memory he has is exceptional and off the charts. Some of the reasons why we call him, or some analysts are calling him, a generational can't miss prospect. So let's just watch this play. Pressure in his face, and I mean, it's an excellent, exceptional throw. Then we get it from the back view right here. And we see him go through reads. So we see that now he's looking at this right here. He's looking at this read right here. Now all of a sudden feels pressure on his in his face to do it wrong-footed and make that type of throw. Again, speechless. So we broke down Caleb Williams' collegiate film from his first collegiate start to his days at USC. What are some things that we can take away? Some things he does well, that he doesn't do well, talking pros and cons. Then also going to be talking about his ceiling and floor in terms of play style that he mimics from former NFL players and NFL players currently in this league. So starting with the pros and cons, going to start with the bad and end with the good to end on a high note. Bad, he's a home run and big play hunter. Now that can be taken well because he's going to be a quarterback that airs out the football. Is going to be pushing the defense to be a deep threat and to have to worry about that. But it's also at some times where he holds onto the ball a bit too long and holds on to the first read more so the read that is going to be the big play possibility, like post, go routes, those sorts of things. Misses some obvious reads that whether that's him seeing it or feeling rushed, or just him wanting to look for the big play. We see that show up. Holds on to his first read a little bit too long. Something I did mention. He looks for that big play, the post, the goes, the streaks, and all of that in that form. Footwork and mechanics, those are going to need to be cleaned up. I know he does it significantly well in the collegiate ranks, but at the NFL, those little things are going to matter, and that just comes with coaching. I expect that to be cleaned up. Decision making concerns, we saw those a lot in the Notre Dame game. I think that's just going to be a maturity thing for him to learn through over the years and throughout his career in the NFL to just mature. I think coaching can help fix that as well. Inconsistently looks off defenders at times. We didn't see a whole, or we saw some instances, I should say, in this film that we broke down. But there's others that I've watched where it's just been inconsistent. And then lastly, he likes to live in a world where it makes life harder for him. He has such exceptional talent at the collegiate ranks that he's able to get away with it there. But at the pro level, with these defensive linemen that are going to want to inflict pain on you, and this comes with holding onto the ball as well, using your playmaking, incredible magician ability is going to have to get coached, matured, and toned down, especially at the NFL level, which is why my main concerns for him is holding on to the ball, getting things out within structure, and those sorts of deals. Now let's talk about the good with Caleb Williams. Can make any throw from any angle, anywhere, anytime. It doesn't matter. Will extend the play, puts pressure on the defensive line, cornerbacks to have to cover, and it's just going to be a defensive lineman's nightmare. With Williams' wiggle ability, the fact that he extends out all these plays, very tough and very much a lot of stress placed on that defense. Arm talent is speechless. It's unbelievable. It's speechless. Any way you want to chop it up there. The way he maneuvers in the pocket is very. It's Aaron Rodgers esque. Now he's a little inconsistent with it sometimes. Sometimes he feels pressure, and we saw it in this film when in by NFL standards, the pocket that he faced and got off of, that's a good pocket by NFL standards. But the way he just maneuvers in the pocket, the awareness that he has of defenders and his potential rushing lanes, off the charts and exceptional. The athleticism, another thing you can chalk up is being off the charts, exceptional, unbelievable, speechless. And then moving on to the next thing he does really well, anticipation with speed outs and hitches. Now, anticipation over the field, we saw that in some instances, specifically with him looking at and trying to target Zachariah Branch. But within hitches, speed outs, he does that well. So is that something we can and extend on outside of speed outs and hitches into the NFL? Will be very interesting to see. Um, well, secondly, and these two go hand in hand, is just his overall exceptional talent, along with his creativeness, his playmaking ability. And the knock on him is he doesn't operate within structure consistently. That consistently, I can say, yeah. Is it at the high clip you want for a player that is being tabbed as the next Patrick Mahomes, a generational prospect, the best quarterback prospect in recent years, a number one pick? Not necessarily. But with his raw talent, the fact that some of these things with proper coaching in the NFL can be coached is why a lot of teams, I believe, are exceptionally high on this guy. To have him as a generational, or label him as that type of generational patch prospect. Now, is he the next Patrick Mahomes? With these things, especially quarterbacks, it relies on what you have around you, what your surroundings are going to be. What type of coaching do you have to accelerate your talent and accelerate your developmental process? It's most likely and very likely going to be in Chicago. Does Chicago have that type of coaching? We know they have a defensive minded coach, but we have to look more towards the offensive coordinator. But the offensive coordinator, I'm not too sure, and I'm not as confident to say it's going to help Caleb. Now, with the pieces that they have there, there is very much a lot of room for Chicago to add onto the playmaker, like a wide receiver, a tight end, maybe more help for the offensive line, but it's still an uncertainty. Now, finally, and wrapping up here, going into some ceilings and floors, his ceiling for me is Josh Allen. I think when we look at terms of play style, Caleb, very much like Josh Allen, will give you plays of brilliance, but then there will also be some stretches where you're scratching your head and you're wondering why they're making those types of decisions because they are home run hitters. They have that big play hunting mentality and ability, of course, with their exceptional arm talent and strengths. Now, for floors, in terms of, and this goes with the size that he and this player do have, being smaller quarterbacks, I see a lot of Russell Wilson with the things that he can do, turning nothing into something. So those are the ceilings and floors that I have for Caleb Williams. Again, is he the next Patrick Mahomes? No. Actually, I think he is the next Josh Allen when things go within his way. I'm talking about coaching, surroundings, everything he has around him, wherever he goes. And then for floor, if that doesn't get matched up and that doesn't get coached and developed, I do see a lot of Russell Wilson within himself. Now, one thing I want the audience to be wary of, and everyone in general, is that Caleb Williams has exceptional talent, right? We see a lot of draft analysts compare him to be the next Patrick Mahomes, that he is the greatest draft prospect at the quarterback position since the history of the NFL. That as soon as he steps into the league and makes his first play in the NFL, he is already going to be a top 5, top 10 quarterback in the NFL. That's a lot of high expectations for a player that hasn't stepped foot on an NFL field, hasn't made a preseason debut, or even stepped on the field on a practice field. So I feel like he's still he has all that exceptional talent, but he's still a little bit raw in some areas that quarterbacks need to critically be proficient at. But he's still raw. So, and we can even go back to Bryce Young, right? Bryce Young, some draft analysts compared him with his creativity to be the next Patrick Mahomes. Then Bryce Young goes into a terrible situation with a terrible offensive line. The coaching staff was a mess. There was no playmakers to help Bryce Young. And now we're having a lot of different conversations about Bryce Young. He gets 2 years now to prove himself. You feel like with Caleb Williams, is are the expectations going to be too high for him? Like, are people writing checks that Caleb Williams can't cash out? That's my concern because I see a talented prospect just like everybody else, but he's still a little raw and, like I said, within areas in terms of operating efficiently into the pocket, doing things on time, on schedule, seeing some guys open through the middle of the field, getting that ball out quickly, that he just needs a little bit more time there. And so for Caleb Williams' sake, I hope that the situation he goes into is going to get him some talent on the offensive line, within the coaching staff, and some form of playmakers. Now with Chicago, they have that opportunity, right? But we also know it is Chicago, and do we feel confident in the coaching staff? The point is, yes, the NFL is a quick league in terms of for quarterbacks. You only get 2, 3 years to prove yourself, and then after that, you're done for. Now, when your confidence is broken as a quarterback and as a football player in general, that is a terrible thing, and it's very hard to recover from. So, with the expectations for Caleb Williams, let's just temper them down a little bit because if we overgrade and the fans don't get what the draft analysts and experts were saying, they're going to be very ticked off. And then now that hurts the confidence of the player when they're having to answer questions in the media and all of those other sorts of things when the quarterback position is already hard within itself. So that is the film breakdown for Caleb Williams. Is he the next Patrick Mahomes? Is he a generational talent? The talent, yes, the talent is generational, but it has to get groomed. And the situation matters just like every quarterback prospect that has ever been through this process. I appreciate all y'all sticking around through the whole entire video. I appreciate it. Make sure you follow me on social media. The ads to my social media will be in the description, so make sure you go check that out. Like this video. If you like these film breakdowns, let me know who you want to see broken down next in the film breakdowns that we have in the upcoming series. We're going to do a lot more of. Really excited about how it's going to go. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, hit that bell, turn on post notifications. You don't want to miss the film breakdowns and all of those sorts of things. God bless y'all. Take care. And until next time, deuces.